This call is now being recorded.
Hello, students. Shall I start with today's topic, or should we
Yes,
wait for another few minutes? Smriti, Chaitanya, Sirisha, Swati.
Start now.
I'll start. Fine. What should I?
What happened? You are only just messing up. Unless you shutter the pen, you can't go to widescreen. Sound तगड़ी है.
Students, can you all hear me? Students.
Yes,
Sound
ma'am.
तगड़ा नहीं ना.
चढ़ बढ़िया. Okay. Can you all see the slides here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So just we will solve some of the MCQs related to amoebiasis. Okay. So just look at the questions which I'm focusing over here. Uh, because you have to just say true or false for these questions. Okay. Look at the question here. Cyst passers are the main source of Entamoeba histolytica. Cyst passers are the main source of Entamoeba histolytica. So, is this statement true or false? Students, what does this statement suggest? Whether it is true or false? If anybody passes a cyst in their stool, so now what do you say? They are the main source of infection for amoebiasis or Entamoeba histolytica. What is the
Yes, ma'am.
statement? True or
carrier.
false?
True, ma'am.
Be a little bit louder, no?
True.
All of you agree with the true, or anybody want to say it is false? Students?
W daga ಬರಲ್ರಿ ಅದು.
Okay. So the answer is what? It is true actually. So whoever passes a cyst in the stool, no, like they are always a source of what? Infection for Entamoeba histolytica, right? So we already have seen in the previous lecture that in any individual where the trophozoites are present in the stool, where the trophozoites are present in the stool, it indicates what? Active infection. So whenever the cysts are present, it indicates what? They are the carriers of the disease. Yes, do you all agree with this? Okay,
Yes.
then we'll see the second question. Trophozoites of the Entamoeba histolytica produces ulcers with indurated margins in the intestinal mucosa. Like whether this statement is true or false. See, trophozoites of Entamoeba histolytica, it produces ulcers. It produces ulcers with indurated margins. With indurated margins, whether this statement is right or true or false. What about this statement?
False,
It is
ma'am.
false. All of you agree with this?
Submucosa.
Yeah. Because in the submucosa it produces the ulcers, and the ulcers, the edges are like what? They are not indurated. And when you see, the below this, there will be undermining will be present. So this particular statement is what? It is false. Next, we'll see the another question. Infection with entamoeba. Just look at this question. Infection with entamoeba histolytica is totally localized to GIT. Is totally localized to GIT. Whether this statement is true or false.
False, ma'am.
Chaitanya and others, Sirisha, you are saying it is false. What about the
False,
others?
ma'am.
Raju and so, shall we all agree that it is false? Because we already know that this Entamoeba histolytica, it not only causes infection related to only GI tract, but it also causes extra intestinal amoebiasis. So, which is the
Liver.
most common site for extra intestinal amoebiasis?
Liver.
It is liver,
Liver.
followed by lung,
Lungs.
then followed by
Heart.
followed by the heart, and then followed by the brain.
Yes.
So, this order you need to remember over here. Next. Both trophozoites, just listen to this question. Both trophozoites and cyst of Entamoeba histolytica are infective to man, whether this statement is true or false. Students, now
False,
you
ma'am.
have to
False,
analyze and
ma'am.
tell me.
False.
All of you say that it is false, or anybody want to say it is true? So it is false actually. So you have to remember that only cyst, they are infective form of Entamoeba histolytica. But if the option says that both cyst and trophozoites are infective, then it is wrong actually. Right? Fine. Now one more question has been asked related to amoebiasis itself. So it is like in one of the stool specimen, rounded. Just look at this question. Rounded quadrinucleated cyst, which measures 20 microns, is seen in a patient. So, like this is suggestive of which one he is asking. So, in a stool sample microscopy, like we have seen which one? A quadrinucleated cyst which measures 20 microns. It is an indicator of which one, students? Again,
Entamoeba histolytica.
yeah, Entamoeba histolytica. Fine. Now we will see one of the case study. Let us look at one case study over here. Just look at the question. A 28-year-old male patient has presented with the low grade fever. Has presented with which one? Low grade fever and loss of appetite and pain in the right upper quadrant, right upper quadrant since 15 days. Since how many days? 15 days. Now, 3 months back, he suffered from dysentery. This is also one of the history of presenting illness. So, 3 months back, there was a history of what? Dysentery. So, that is blood in the stools. Now, on physical examination, there was what? On physical examination, there was a enlarged liver. So, there is an enlarged liver. And the blood picture, so it has shown what? Leukocytosis with raised eosinophils. And the CT scan of the liver, it has shown what? Cavitatory lesions. It has shown what? Cavitatory lesions. Then aspirate of the liver. Aspirate of the liver, it has shown what? Motile trophozoites. It has shown what? Motile trophozoites and no cyst. Now, this particular thing is suggestive of which one? Now, anyway, we are discussing with the one single topic. Now, this question or this case itself, like you should be able to answer what it might be.
Amoebic hepatitis, ma'am.
Just a second. So it is suggestive of what? It is suggestive of, yeah, it is suggestive of
Amoebic
amoebic liver abscess. So the thing is that here the question itself is saying that it is low grade fever. So whereas in bacillary dysentery or any other bacterial related dysentery, what there will be, the fever will be of what? High grade. So already in the last class we have seen all these differences. So the first point what we have to look at over here, the patient is presenting with low grade fever, and apart from that there is a pain in the right upper quadrant. And 3 months back there was a history of dysentery and enlarged liver is there. So all these things are what? Suggestive of what? Amoebic liver abscess, right? And even though there is like raised eosinophil count and there is CT scan also, it reveals that cavitatory lesions present in the liver. Yes. Fine. Just a second. Okay. Students, are you all now clear with some of the MCQs related to this amoeba and entamoeba histolytica?
Yes,
Students?
ma'am.
Okay. So, like some case presentations may be asked related to amoebic. Uh, just a second. Okay, students, we'll solve some more MCQs related to this one, amoebiosis. Now, ingested RBCs. You people only should answer me these things. Ingested RBCs. Ingested RBCs within the trophozoites seen under microscope is characteristic feature of entamoeba histolytica. True or false? Students, ingested RBCs within trophozoites within trophozoites is characteristic feature of Entamoeba histolytica. Whether this statement is true or false. What do you want to say,
True,
students?
ma'am.
True, ma'am.
Huh?
True.
True,
It
ma'am.
is true. So, yeah, very good. So, we already seen in the last class that the trophozoites are very much active and they are motile and they are feeding form, and within them there will be ingested RBCs. So, whenever the statement is given, then it is what? It is true. Next. Now, you people only should answer me this particular question. Uh, Chronic amoebic keratitis is caused by, because last class just one word I have mentioned for you. So amoebic, chronic amoebic keratitis. So keratitis is seen with which one? So the answer is what? Acanthamoeba. The answer is which one, students? Acanthamoeba. So these are the some of the MCQs that were asked related to the entamoeba from the previous papers which I have discussed with you. And one more question is left. So let me discuss that one also. The main reservoir of entamoeba histolytica. So the main reservoir. So what is the main reservoir of entamoeba histolytica? So the options given are man. The second one, dirty water. The second one is which one? Dirty water. Third one is what? Dog. And fourth one is monkey. So which is the main reservoir of Entamoeba histolytica? What is the answer? Students? So it is the only and the main reservoir of the Entamoeba histolytica is which one? Man.
Man.
Okay. Next, one more question is there. So we'll try to solve this one also. The term amoeboma, Amoeboma. So this particular term is used to describe which one of the following. So last class I have told you. So like in case of what? Chronic intestinal amoebiasis, what will happen? Chronic intestinal amoebiasis, there will be what? The ulcer later it will undergo a pseudo tumor type of growth. Pseudo, that is, there will be granulomatous growth will be there. Yes. So, and this granulomatous growth of this particular amoebic ulcer, and that particular growth we call it as what? That is called as what? Amoeboma. So it resembles like a pseudo tumor. And where exactly it is seen, this particular amoeboma, it is seen in ilio, ileocecal junction, right? So it is seen in where? Ileocecal junction. Next, one more question is asked, students, uh, related to this amoebiasis only. Another one more question. The most common site of extraintestinal, extraintestinal amoebiasis, the most common site of extraintestinal amoebiasis. So, what is the answer over here?
Liver, ma'am.
Options for
Liver.
you. Liver, very good. Lung, C. Then third one is brain. Then fourth one is spleen. Let the other students also answer. Chaitanya, Sidhu, and others. So, what is the answer over here?
Liver.
It is very good. Liver, where does it affect? So, which part of the liver does it affect? The right side,
Right
Right
posterior.
posterior.
posterior lobe. So, this is the most commonly affected. In the lung also, which lung is most commonly affected?
Lower lobe.
Right lower lobe.
Right side lower
Yes,
lobe.
very good. So now when the question is asked, you should mark for this particular option, right? Fine. So I think I have covered almost all the questions related to the Entamoeba histolytica. So we will now switch on to the another protozoal infection, that is giardiasis, which is caused by which one, students? It is caused by
Yeah.
Giardia
Yeah.
Lamley.
lamblia. So what is this particular type of protozoal infection?
Flagellated plutonium.
So it is an intestinal flagellate. That means what? It is a unicellular microscopic organism, and it has got what? It has got the flagella to move. So that's why we call it as what? Intestinal flagellate protozoal protozoa, and it is caused by which one, students? Giardia lamblia. So why it has got this particular name? Because Giardia, he is one scientist, and lamblia, he is one more scientist. So together these two fellows, so they have described and they have studied in detail about this particular protozoa. And very important is that it causes waterborne disease. Like if the water is contaminated with this giardia, then it will cause what? Giardiasis. So like water contamination is one of the basic reasons why this protozoal infection happens. And mainly it is seen when we consume poorly filtered or poorly what sterilized water. And very important is very important, it is seen in people who undergo camping, or who drink water from the lake, river, or stream, or overcrowded places, or poor hygiene. Because an MCQ has been asked related to this particular statement. So giardiasis, it is most common among the people who go for camping, like who are mountain trekkers or who go to some hilly areas. And look at this picture. This fellow is trying to drink the water from this particular source. So these are the areas where this particular species, it may be present in the water, and when they consume it, then over. So their intestine, it will go lodged, and they'll be suffering with the giardiasis. And what type of disease it will cause? It causes what? Diarrhea. And very important is that I'm not using the word dysentery. Like in amoebiasis, we have used the word. What is the word? Dysentery. Here, what is the word used? That is diarrhea. That is watery stools. It is the watery stool without what? Blood. And it is most commonly seen in the developing countries, and it is more common among the children. And which is the most common site for this Giardia lamblia? Whether this parasite lives in the small intestine or large intestine? Or where does it live,
Small
students? So
intestine.
this fellow, he most commonly resides in the small intestine. So especially in the duodenum. So this is his favorite site, duodenum, and followed by the duodenum, which is the second favorite site. It is the which one?
Jejunum.
It is jejunum. So duodenum and the jejunum, these are the two favorite sites for the locating this Giardia lamblia. And like already I told you that it is been named Giardia lamblia based on the names of the two scientists who have described this. And very important is that this was the first parasite or the protozoa which was described by whom? It was described by Anton von
Antonio.
Anton.
von Leeuwenhoek. So it was first discovered by Antony von Leeuwenhoek. Look at this fellow's picture, and especially in his stool itself in the year 1681. So that means what? This fellow already has been infected with Giardia lamblia. So because of that infection itself, he could be able to identify this particular uh, protozoal organism. Now let us see the structure of this giardia. So it exists in two forms, just like Entamoeba histolytica. So one is the active form, that is the trophozoite. Another is the dormant form, that is the cystic form. So it exists in two forms. So trophozoite is what? It is active. So like why I'm showing you and why I'm explaining you all this in detail is because nowadays in picture-based questions they are giving these type of pictures. Identify which of the following. So in a stool specimen or in a community-based survey, if you have identified this particular organism, then what might be the possible source of infection? So such type of questions are asked. In very recent 2020 question also, they have asked the life cycle, and they have shown the picture of scrub typhus, and they have asked the mites, and also this point is very important for you. So look at its morphology over here. How many flagella this fellow has got? Students, just count it.
Yes.
So how many flagella this fellow has?
8.
8, ma'am.
So totally he has got 8 flagella. That means what? 4 pairs of flagella are present. Then what is the shape of this fellow? How does he look? So he looks like a pear shape, or it is tennis racket shaped. So look at the shape of this fellow. So on the uppermost or the superior aspect, he is little bit rounded. And as we go little bit bottom, he is more tapered. So he exactly gives a picture of what? Tennis racket or pear shape. Then how many nuclei this fellow has? So he has got how many nuclei?
Okay.
2 nuclei are present. So this is one more thing. Then how many suction disc or sucking disc are present? So what are the sucking discs? Just a second. Okay. So how many sucking discs are present? There are 2 sucking discs. So whatever the round things you are seeing here, no, these are the sucking discs. So that means what, using this particular disc, they'll attach to the villi of the intestine. So these are the organs of what? Attachment. Then it has got parabasal discs. So can you see here? These are the 2 parabasal discs. And in the center, 2 longitudinally passing lines are present, which divides this particular trophozoites into 2 equal halves. So it is called as what? Axostyle. It is called as what? Axostyle. So it has got 8 flagella, 2 nuclei, and then how many like suction disc or sucking disc are present? 2 sucking discs are present. Yes,
Two.
and what is the shape of this trophozoite? It is tennis racket or pear shaped.
Yes.
Now, very important is that this trophozoite, it is feeding form and it is motile. It is feeding form and it is motile. Then, what is the nature of motility? So, how do you describe its nature of motility? It is falling leaf. So, just imagine from the tree, if the leaf is falling, how does it fall? So what is the nature? How does it fall? Like it will just scroll down like this, right? So from a tree, how the leaf it will fall, no? So the similar type of motility this particular trophozoite will be showing. So in this slide, if you see under microscope, if a trophozoite is moving in the, like a fashion of a falling motility, leaf motility, so it is an indicator of which one? Giardia lamblia. Next, when we look at the cyst of this particular Giardia lamblia, so what is the shape of this cyst? It is oval in shape. And how many nuclei are present? It has got, just count the nuclei. How many are present? 4 nuclei are present, right? And very important is that even though it shows the 8 flagella, but all these 8 flagella are not well seen under the microscope. They are ill defined. And it has got only one pair of axocystole, but it is well defined. And it has got one pair of basal disc. So these two things are there. They are the basal disc. So this is the morphological features of the cyst and the trophozoite form of which one? Giardia lamblia. Then very important is that how many hosts it requires to complete its life cycle. How many hosts does it require? It requires only one host. And who is that host? It is the man. So only
Man.
single host is required and that host is man. And what is the infective form? The infective form is the mature cyst. It is the infective form of this particular Giardia lamblia. Now let us see how it is transmitted. So what is the mode of transmission of this Giardia lamblia? So how it is transmitted? So one thing is that direct person to person transmission. So what is the first mode of transmission? Because MCQs are asked related to this one also. So direct person to person transmission. The second is it is also transmitted among the male homosexuals. It is also transmitted among the male homosexuals. Then it is also like commonly seen among the children. So children to children transmission rate is also very much high. The next thing is that it is most commonly what seen among the people who are with the blood group. Which blood group is more susceptible? Blood group A. Students, can you all hear me? So blood group A is
Yes,
susceptible.
ma'am.
And then people who take this use cannabis, so they are also more susceptible to this Giardia lamblia. Then one more thing is that who has got hypogammaglobulinemia. So people with this particular situation also, they are more susceptible to the protozoal infection caused by Giardia lamblia. So all these points are very, very important from your MCQ. So they may ask you which of the following is the mode of transmission or susceptible for this Giardia lamblia. If all these options are given, then fine. Please go and tick all these things, right? Any doubts over here? Now let us see the life cycle. Look at this picture, very, very important because questions are asked nowadays giving the life cycle and they will try ask you to identify this life cycle belongs to which particular type of microorganism, right? Now look at this life cycle over here for Giardia lamblia. Whenever the person consumes a contaminated food, fruits or any eatable source with the cyst of Giardia lamblia, so when he takes and it will reach where? It will reach the duodenum. Now, in the duodenum, what will happen? Excistation will takes place. That means what? Whatever the cyst is there, so this cyst, it has got what? Hyaline lining is present, a thick lining, which is made up of what? Hyaline. So this particular hyaline lining will be removed, and from this cyst, what will happen? It will undergo longitudinal binary fission. It will undergo longitudinal binary fission, and from this one cyst, it will give rise to how many trophozoite students? It will give rise to two trophozoites, very, very important. Whereas in case of Entamoeba histolytica, one cyst has given rise to how many trophozoites? How many fellows has come out?
Four.
Trophozoites.
Four nine.
Yeah. Now the excistation, it takes place in the duodenum and in the jejunum. So this particular site is very important. Then this trophozoite, it will undergo binary fission and it will divide, and then what it will do, it will only bind to the villi of the small intestine. So whatever the villi is there, so it will bind to the villi of the, these are the projections from the cell. So it will bind to the villi of the small intestine. Then very important is that usually it does not invade. So it is like a non-invading protozoa. Whereas in Entamoeba, what happened? It used to invade the intestinal tissue. That is, it used to get into the submucosal layer. Here, nothing such invasion is seen. It will just nicely attach to the villi. Then, what this fellow will cause? It will cause the alteration in the structure of the villi. It will cause what? Alteration in the structure of the villi. It will cause alteration in the structure of villi. So when this alteration takes place, it will lead to what? Apoptosis. It will lead to apoptosis of that cell containing the villi. Now ultimately this results in what? It results in the malabsorption of the various substances from the intestine, especially fat malabsorption will take place, and it will also lead to what? Malabsorption of the vitamin A, vitamin B, then folic acid and proteins also. So there will be malabsorption of the various elements from the small intestine. Why it is happening? It is happening because this fellow is causing the alteration in the structure of the villi. So this point you need to remember. Now here only one trick will be there. Because of this reason, what is happening? The fat is not getting absorbed into the intestine. So due to this, what will happen? The fat will be more and more fat will be passed into the stool. So what we can see, we can get a picture of what? Fatty stool. So this is one of the characteristic and diagnostic feature of what? Characteristic and diagnostic feature of which one, students? Which
Giardia
one?
lamblia.
Yeah,
Giardia lamblia.
Giardia
Giardia
lamblia.
lamblia.
So why I am telling you, explaining you all this, because everything can be asked as a question for you. What might be the possible reasoning for this? Because that fellow Entamoeba, he used to invade and he used to get into this thing, but this fellow doesn't invade. He will sit there and he will spoil entire thing. All the villi will be destroyed. No absorption. Fat will be there in the stool, so the fat will that stool will look more shiny, and it will be like just floating stool will be present when you try to put it in water, because lot of fat content is present. And if the situation continues like this, what will happen? The infected person, due to malabsorption, there will be malnourishment. So this ultimately results in loss of loss of weight. Loss of weight will be present. So malnourishment, and then ultimately it will result in loss of weight. And here you can see only diarrhea, that is watery stools can be seen, watery stools, then no blood. So without blood in this stool. So that is one of the characteristic feature. And very important is that in the diarrhea, along with the fat, what can be seen? Mucus can be present. Mucus can be present. Yes, students, are you all clear with this? And one more MCQ that has been asked related to this giardia itself. So, what is the most important virulent agent, virulence factor? Like, what is that factor that is present in this particular protozoa giardia that is causing destruction of the villi? What is that? VSSP. So, what is this VSPP? That is variant specific surface protein. Variant specific surface protein. So this is one of the what? Variant specific surface protein. It is the what? The virulent factor. It is a virulent factor that is responsible for causation of this giardiasis. So once this question has been asked, just focus on this point. Yes. Any doubts, students? Now, one more thing is that does this giardia causes extra-intestinal giardiasis? Does it cause, other than affecting the small intestine, does it affect any other organ as like the entamoeba? Students?
No.
No, I mean, you cannot directly say no, but sometimes what happens, no, as a part of the our GI tract only, so it may sometimes go and it may colonize in the which one? Gallbladder. So sometimes it may colonize in the gallbladder. So whenever it colonizes there and when it multiplies and when its number reaches to such a higher extent, so it will cause what? Obstruction, causing what? Causing biliary colic, and this ultimately gives a clinical picture of what? Jaundice. It will give the clinical picture of what? Jaundice. Now in the case presentation, what will happen? There will be something like diarrhea will be present, and after some few months then the patient had got developed the jaundice. So all this if you correlate, then you may have to think that yes, it may be giardia, because this stool is like shiny and lot of fat is present and it is floating also, and along with that mucus is present, no blood. So totally we cannot say that it is a amoeba, so something other than amoeba, so it may be giardia, right? And patient is having jaundice also. So all these points you need to focus over here, right? Then I think these are the important points which you need to remember over here. So what is the infective form, students, for giardia? What is the infective form? It is the mature cyst, right? Then where does the excistation takes place? It takes place in the duodenum and in
Duodenum.
jejunum. Then once this fellow goes from here and when it reaches the large intestine, again what will happen? This fellow again will convert into what? Cystic form. So the trophocyte, whatever is there, which is the tennis racket shaped, so once it reaches here, he will undergo cystic form. Then he will come out of the fecus. Then when this fecus, it will contaminate the food. Then again the same cycle will be continued, right? Students, are you all clear? Any doubts? So in a fecus, if you see the cyst, it indicates what? The person is carrier form, and along with the cyst, if you see the trophocyte, then it is an active infection, right? So which is the site of encystation? That means area where the cyst formation will occur. Where does it occur? It occurs in the colon. And where does the excistation occurs? It occurs in the duodenum and jejunum. Now, one more thing you have to remember here is the cyst is resistant in the warm climate, and hence it is more common in countries like our India, that is in the developing countries where the climate is very much warm. And very important is that if the person is infected, that fellow will shed nearly 300 millions of the cyst per day. And very important is that if the person consumes or ingest 10 cysts, then it is enough. The person will become ill, causing what? Giardiasis. Yes, and very important is that this particular Giardia lamblia, it is monogenous parasite. That is, it lives only in one kind of host. Who is that host? Who is that host,
Man.
students? Man. Now let us see the clinical features of this giardiasis. So very important is the patient will present with the what? Abdominal pain, especially what is where is the pain? Dull. It is dull epigastric pain. Dull epigastric pain. This is one of the classic clinical presentation. Then there will be what? Acute or chronic diarrhea with malodor. This is one more important thing. And how does the stool color it will be? So macroscopically, if you just examine the stool, what is the color? It looks gray in color, and further it looks very greasy. Like how the oil it will be, no? Why it looks greasy, students? Why does it look?
Because of fats.
Because of
Fat.
presence of fat. This is very, very important,
Man.
and it is a diagnostic feature. It is a pathognomic or diagnostic feature which you can see. So greasy stool, it is mainly due to the presence of mucus and fat, and there is no blood, and there will be flatulence. Flatulence means what? There will be presence of what? Gas. So then after that, belching. So these are the different clinical presentations of the patient with giardiasis. Apart from that, what will be there? There will be vitamin B12 malabsorption, and there will be lactose intolerance. So all this ultimately give a clinical presentation of anemia also, right? Any doubts over here? So whenever it affects the gallbladder, that time the clinical presentation will be what? There will be jaundice, right? So now, well, if this giardia, if it infects the children, then what will happen? There will be delayed physical and mental growth of the child. Why there will be delayed physical and mental growth of the child? So do you think at that time it will become a major? Yeah, why? Why students? Now you people only should answer
Due to
for this question.
malnutrition.
Very good, excellent it is. So it is basically because of what? It is due to the malabsorption. So we already know that this fellow will stick to where? The villi, and it will spoil this villi. So because of that, what will happen? There will be malabsorption, and this malabsorption, if it continues for a prolonged period of time, it will lead to the delayed physical and mental growth of the child, right? And there will be persistence of the gastrointestinal symptoms in the form of the diarrhea. So this is like very important point related to the giardiasis in children. So the same thing I have explained you. So they will attach to the villi of the small intestine, and they will block the absorption of the fat, and it will also release the toxins like proteinases, lecithins, causing epithelial injury and diarrhea. And what is the another thing which I told you, the most important virulent factor? That is VSSP. Remember this. The question has been already asked. That is what? Variant specific surface protein. It is a protein actually. Surface protein. So remember this. So these are like what? The toxic substance or the virulent factors that are produced by this. Which one? Giardia. So look at this trophocyte. Very nicely, this fellow is sticking and it is enjoying over the villi of the intestines. Right? Now we will come to the lab diagnosis. Now here also some questions that are asked related to Giardia lamblia. So lab diagnosis, what we will do, we have to look for the stool examination, like both microscopy and macroscopy. So macroscopically, what you will see, students, stool will be greasy and it will be gray in color. Yes, fine. Then it will float also. The floating stool in the water, it is also one of the important feature. And microscopically, what you can see, and when you mix this stool with the saline, so you can see what? The motile trophozoites. And cyst, you can see when you just prepare the stool preparation with the iodine. Why iodine preparation we will do? Because cyst can be nicely seen. Otherwise, it is very difficult to see the cyst just with the normal saline preparation, right? Are you all clear, students? Next, one more thing is that one more diagnostic test or lab diagnostic test for giardia is what? The string test or entero test. I think what is this test, students? What is a string test or anti-road test?
One string is passed through mouth, ma'am,
Very good,
to the
excellent.
DOD.
So here what we will do is like it is like this test we usually don't recommend. So it is not recommended because it is very expensive. So this point is very important, and it is not recommended also. Like very like little bit irritating for the patient also. Like not very much easy for the patient. So here what we do, we take a thread, and at the end of the thread there will be weighted gelatin capsule. So look at this picture. So there will be gelatin capsule, and here one thread will be present. Then one end of the thread we will attach to the external portion or outside of the cheek, and we'll put a sellotape and we'll attach it. Then we'll ask the patient to swallow this thread, and this thread what will happen once it reaches the stomach, and then once it attaches to the duodenum, then what will happen, we will let this particular capsule to stay in the duodenum for how many hours? 2 to 4 hours. Then after that what we will do, we will pull out or we will just take out this thread. Then what we will do, we will put this thread in this saline. We will put it in what? Saline. Then what we will do, we will do the centrifuge. So because of this centrifuge what will happen, the trophocytes will be concentrated, and then we will take that centrifuge saline solution, then we will put it under the slide. In the slide we can see what? Nicely the trophozoites, because we already have aligned to the life cycle that, or the pathogenesis, that the excistation, it takes place where? In the duodenum and in the jejunum. So in this area only we can see what? The trophozoites. So just to catch up these trophozoites and to confirm our diagnosis, we particularly do this, which one, students? This string test. So what is the other name for string test? It is a other name is anti-road
Antidote
test.
test.
Yes. So these are some of the lab diagnostic tests and not commonly used. And certain other points I want to highlight over here is that some of the sero diagnostic tests we can do it over here. So what are these other sero diagnostic tests? That is antigen detection. Antigen detection is done by which one? It is done by ELISA, using which one? GSA65 antigen. So just try to remember this name because sometimes question can be asked related to this. So this is one of the like antigen detection test using ELISA by using GSA65 antigen of Giardia. So this is one thing. And other test what we can use is that the PCR method. So that is nothing but the molecular diagnostic test. So these are the other tests that can be used to confirm the diagnosis of Giardia. So we usually don't go to such a higher extent. Usually by the clinical examination and usually by using ELISA, we'll come out with the confirmatory diagnosis apart from stool examination. Now, what is the mode of treatment? So how do we treat this giardiasis? Students, what is the first line of drug or drug of choice? It is which one, students? Metronidazole 250 milligrams thrice daily for 7 days. So this particular point you need to remember. If not metronidazole, so what is the other option? Other line of drug of choice? Tinidazole. So tinidazole is a like a second choice or drug of choice for the treatment of which one? Giardiasis. So how much we give? 2 grams. Single dose is more than enough. Single dose, right? And one more point I want to add over here, in case of pregnancy, like if the lady is pregnant and if she is symptomatic, then what is the drug of choice? So what is the drug of choice, students? It is paramomycin. Yes, so which is nothing but an oral aminoglycoside. So like point I want to add is that aminoglycosides, they are not usually absorbed from the intestine. So usually aminoglycosides, they are usually given what? Topically, right? Do you all agree with this? But this is a paramomycin, so it is an oral aminoglycoside. It is an oral aminoglycoside, so which is given in case of what? Pregnant symptomatic lady. So in such a lady you can give this particular oral aminoglycoside. So what is the dosage over here? 500 milligrams 500 milligrams, like it has to be given TID. It has to be given TID for how many days, students? 5 days. So this is the duration and the dosage of this particular drug in case of a pregnant lady. And remember that not every stool positive with the giardia, there is no need to give this particular what treatment. Only in you need to give this drugs only in case of symptomatic cases. So if the patient is showing the symptoms, so clinically it is symptomatic, then only we give this particular drug, right? Then what is the prophylaxis? How do we prevent them? So what is the prophylaxis? It is basically we need to follow the hygiene. So that is what we need to boil the water, and then we need to follow the food hygiene. So we need to properly cook the food, and we need to cook them at the right temperature so that all the cysts and the trophozoites they will be killed. So what is the prevention for giardia? That is to follow the proper hygiene. So any doubts here, students? Students, are you all clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So I think I'll stop it here only. So in the next class, I'll continue with one more protozoal infection. So here today we have covered with some of the MCQs related to entamoeba, and then we have seen in detail about the giardia also. So what is the shape of the cyst of this giardia? What is the shape?
Round.
Oval.
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 One thing you can say is that it is ellipsoid. It is ellipsoid shape. So how many nuclei this fellow has got? How many nuclei? 4
Four.
nuclei.
Four.
And what is the motility? Trophozoite, if it is present, what is the nature of motility for the trophozoite? Very, very important.
Leaf. Falling leaf.
Falling leaf.
Falling
Falling
leaf.
leaf.
Never forget this. So just imagine from the tree, if the leaf is falling down, how it winds, whirls, and all. No, the same pattern. This fellow it will be moving. So that is a falling leaf motility. So what is the shape of this trophozoite? How does he look?
Tennis
Tennis
racket.
racket.
Yeah, tennis racket or pear shape. So, like any of this description is given, kindly tick it. How many flagella this fellow has got? 8 flagella, or we can say 4 pairs of flagella. Anything is
Four
right
things.
actually. Yes. Then, what is the main problem? Like, if this fellow like present for a chronic time, it will lead to what? Malabsorption.
Malabsorption.
Malabsorption. This is very important. And what is a stool characteristic feature? Stool. What is present?
Blood.
No blood, but only fat. Yes. So fatty stool, which looks greasy and gray in
And
color.
green color.
And this particular stool, no, it floats in water, right? So these are the characteristic feature, and this stool presents mal odor, like very dirty, bad smell will be coming from that particular stool. No blood. This is very, very important. What is the drug of choice, students? Remember this. Metronidazole. If not, what's the
Tinidazole.
other option? Tinidazole. So this thing you need to remember. Tinidazole, how much we need to give? 2 grams.
2 grams. Single
More
dose.
than enough it is. Right? For the pregnant lady, what we will give? We will give.
Paragomycin.
Very good. So what is that?
Aminoglycoside.
It is an oral aminoglycoside, because aminoglycosides, the nature of the aminoglycosides is that they are not absorbed from the intestine. So that is the reason why we don't give them orally. But this is a type of aminoglycoside which can be absorbed from the intestine so that it can perform its uh, action. And one more thing, important thing is that since this parasite is present within the intestine, so it will nicely concentrate within the intestine itself. So it has got a very good beneficial effect in tackling this particular giardia. So we give this particular treatment in only in the symptomatic cases. Otherwise, most of the cases they are asymptomatic, right? And in the question, if they say give you an option that in this giardiasis diarrhea is present, along with that there is a jaundice. So then what will you say? So that means what? Gallbladder is also affected. So this point you have to remember, right? Yes. diarrhea, all this stool features. Along with that, jaundice is present. Don't get confused. Now this fellow has got into our gallbladder, and he is nicely growing over there also. So this is very important point you need to remember. And how do we prevent this from our community point of view? Public health, just follow the hygiene, right? Like in the water purification and all, no, we need to test our water when we do the chlorination of the water, at what ppm this fellow will be killed and all. So we need to know, like that environment chapter, whenever I discuss, no, that time I'll discuss in detail, like at what ppm or concentration all these pathogens will be killed. So that is the reason why we need to know all these protozoal parasites in detail, right? Any doubts over here, students?
No,
So
ma'am.
next class, no, all of you study about cystosoma. So what is cystosoma? It is what?
Like,
Blood flow. So this fellow, where does he live? He will live in the blood. So his favorite place is blood. So I'll discuss in detail about the cystosoma, and if possible, some other flukes, right? So shall I stop it here, students? Students?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So 9:30, no, there is an off-tel class. So kindly attend that by Dr. Pinto. Fine?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.